Every young boy dreams of becoming a professional footballer, worshipped, adored and paid to play the game they love. For Geoff Thomas, these dreams came true. However, this life-changing moment wasn't as glamorous as you might first expect.
On my debut I played against Crewe and Dario Prada was there. And I played 10 more games for Rochdale, earning about 40 quid a week, just pocket money, as I was an apprentice electrician. And I come to my final years being an electrician, earning about £120 a week, and then Dario offered me the opportunity of going full-time football on a 2-year contract on £90 a week.
But after taking that pay cut to turn professional, Geoff's career quickly took off. After a successful stint at Crewe, he continued to flourish at Crystal Palace, being named Fans Player of the Year in his first season. An influential force within the team, Geoff eventually had the honour of captaining his side in the 1990 FA Cup final, a day he remembers with mixed emotions.
You walk out in your suits and you've got your rosettes on and you've got everything going on around you, and the atmosphere is, in the older Wembley as well, I think it was a little bit special. Coming out the tunnel behind the goal, and it's just a noise that hits you. We played a really good 90 minutes, managed to get United into extra time. Then Ian Wright was fantastic, scored 2 coming off the bench after breaking his leg probably only about 8 weeks earlier. And we were so close, we were 7 minutes away from actually lifting the cup, and that's probably one of my regrets in football, that we just didn't manage to do that, because it would have been nice to look back and say you've done that.
But after the disappointment of missing out in the final, Geoff re-energised his side and led them to a third-place top-flight finish the following season, and was duly recognised with an international call-up. However, it was hardly a dream debut Geoff was to experience.
I played the first 45 minutes and thought, to be honest, I thought I had a really good game, and I got dragged off. And I thought, that's the end of my career.
But Geoff did go on to make 8 more appearances in an England shirt before a big money move to Wolves. After starting well at Molineux, his career from this point was to be blighted by injury. Only 54 appearances in 4 years were a sign of things to come, and eventually Geoff had to make the tough decision to hang up his boots for good. But this ongoing battle against injury was nothing compared to what lay ahead. In 2003, just a year after retiring, Geoff received a phone call from his GP telling him he had leukemia. A call that had considerable irony for Geoff at the time.
I was actually going past a pub called the Soak in Selly Oak, and it's where all the university guys go, and my nephew was in Birmingham at the time. I was just thinking, he's enjoying his start of his life, and I was getting this phone call that was potentially, I didn't know, could be the start of the end of mine.
Geoff was later diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, a cancer affecting the white blood cells. In this form of cancer, the white blood cells reproduce to such an extent that the red blood cells cannot function and the blood is starved of oxygen. Geoff was left in no uncertain terms by his doctors just how serious this battle was going to be.
At the time, the CML, chronic myeloid leukemia, would kill you in 5 years. So that was that. So that was one black and white statement. Then the next one, if you can find a donor, then you've got 80% chance of survival, if you can find a suitable donor. But chances of doing that is 20%. So it's like backwards and forwards of all these figures.
Luckily for Geoff, a bone marrow match was found early in the shape of his older sister Kay. But with this good news came a lot of pressure on Geoff and his sister, with an arduous transplant procedure in the offing.
She's a nurse and she took it on board, what she was going to have to do and the implications of all that, and she became a nervous wreck, more so than me. So it was bizarre when you look back, but I was sort of nurturing her through what had to be done rather than the other way around. But you can fully understand, she thought she was going to kill me rather than cure me, really.
After some intensive radiation and chemotherapy treatment, Geoff was ready for the transplant process, a procedure that left him at his lowest ebb and fearing for his life in the days afterwards. There
was one night I remember I was really low, and I thought I was as close to death as you can imagine. I don't know if you can imagine me close to death, but I thought I was not far off it. But I just think I was just fed up with fighting.
But his fight did continue, and things slowly started to improve. As Geoff's new immune system steadily rebuilt itself, he began to notice little signs of starting to feel better. Signs in something as simple as a cup of tea.
I just crave a cup of tea in the morning, but when you're going through this, you can't really taste anything, you don't want anything, so you just, even though the cleaner used to come in and bring a cup of tea in the morning, you just smell it, you could smell it, and you just, no, just take it away, just take it. And that, it was a case of just, and when you started feeling slightly better, you could think, oh, I'll try that cup of tea. There was all little steps every day that you went through, and them little steps felt like you were going somewhere.
And as things continued to improve, Geoff's inbuilt determination began to come to the fore. Refusing to sit back and wait for things to happen, he was proactive in his attempts to try and return to normal ways.
After about 6-7 months, I started to feel better, to a point where I got 2 dogs to make me get out and start walking and start feeling better for myself.
And sure enough, with that spirited grit and fight, in 2005 the brilliant news came that Geoff was in remission. As life began to return to normal for Geoff and his family, he could start to reflect on just how difficult the ordeal had been for him and those closest to him. In particular, his wife, Julie.
You know, you don't realise yourself sometimes that somebody's concentrating on you so much. You know, they forget themselves and all that sort of thing. And for her particularly, it was tough, but she never showed that. And there was just certain times where she'd just, all the emotion of it all had come back. And it might be just watching somebody else's story on TV or something like that, you know, it just turned around and she's gone.
Geoff is also able to use his experiences to help others going through the same struggles. In particular, fellow ex-footballer Stilian Petrov.
We have got this bond of going through a similar thing, so we do understand when we talk about certain things that probably you wouldn't talk to anybody else about.
But now, for Geoff Thomas, as a survivor of leukemia, he views his life in a completely different light. A life that was expected to be defined by an international sporting career is instead defined by a successful battle against cancer.
It's just sort of rebooted my system, and it's put my life on a totally different path to where I was going. And that's what the cancer has done to me. It's just made me realise what life's all about.
That you are here with me. That's something beautiful.